Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Makar Kadash, Barakatah. I want to say Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Allah, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim, Makar Kadash, Barakatah, Yeah. Sending out the prayers properly, of course. So I want to get into this lesson because Esau threw, man. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna pull out the scriptures to say so and say why, really in particular. When you go into Nahum chapter 3, verse 4, you know, through the Spirit, I was looking here, and it looked, you know, looking at the concrete, it looked like it said, you know, it looked like it said Micah 6 and 8, but there is no Micah 6 and 8. So my spirit was like, you know, go to Micah 3 and 4. You know what I'm saying? And when I did that, I actually pressed the wrong book, and it led me to Nahum 3 and 4. So in Nahum 3 and 4, you know, when I read it, I just felt that was the Spirit telling me, or just led me there in a crazy fashion, right? But it says, "Woe to the bloody city! It is full of lies and robbery." Yeah, Babylon, which is America, this place was built on lies, saying that they discovered this place. The Native Americans, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, what they did to them, and robbery. They stole this land from the Native Americans in the tribe of Reuben, or the Seminole Indians. Okay. It says, they prayed, departed not. The noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. Yeah, because when you talk about the whip, you know what I'm saying? It's basically, it's just constant, you know, spiritually talking about it's constantly working, but you also have a historical event when they went from the East Coast to the West Coast, and they went in there with their chariots or their wagons, okay? And this country was built off of slavery, okay? It says, verse 3, it says, "The horsemen lifted up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain, and a great number of carcasses, and there is none in of their corpse. They stumble upon their corpse." You know, because yeah, they did a lot of killing in this place to even get in the position that they're in today. Esau did a lot of destruction, a lot of killing, a lot of destroying, mainly of the Negro, Latino, and the Native American people. And in this day and time, they want people such as us, the very same people you did it to wipe it under the rug and forgive them of their sins, as though it doesn't have an impact on how we're living today. And then to turn around and add on top of that, they're not willing to basically forgive anybody else of their sins. You know, so that's not only hypocrisy, but that's, you know, their sorcery. You know, it says the word is smoother than butter, but war is in their hearts. It says, verse 3, the horsemen, verse 4, it says, "Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, you know, the mistress of witchcraft that selleth nations through her whoredom and families through her witchcraft." You know, so it says that, it tells you the well-favored harlot. When you go back to what, Revelations, that's what's sitting on that beast. It's the harlot, you know, and that beast is Babylon, okay? That bloody city, all that and the above, okay? It says, "Behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will shew the nations thy nakedness, and the shame, and the kingdoms thy shame, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock." Because America, well, whether people believe it or not, because everybody's already in Babylon. Well, the people within Babylon can't see how the other nations look at America. They look at America as dumb, arrogant, fat, out of shape, no discipline. They're basically a laughing stock to the other cultures. Sure, America has running water, and it's economically a good place to live, but not culturally. You know, this place is at a very low state, and economically it's plundering too. You know what I'm saying? via through the inflation of the money, the streets, the food. You know what I'm saying? The food is not good. It's poison. The women. You know what I'm saying? The justice system. You know, everything is going. It's CTD, circling the drain. You know. It says, and it shall come to pass that all they that look upon thee shall flee from thee, and shall say, Nineveh is laid waste. Who will bemoan her? When shall I speak? When shall I see comforters for thee? Okay, so in this place, you know, of course, it's talking about Nineveh, but in this place is talking about Babylon prophetically. And this place is not going to be what it says. There's not going to be a comforter to relieve this place. Trump is not your comforter, you know. So we're going to go to as Jeremiah 51 verse 7 says, Babylon have been a golden cup, okay, which is America, which is the daughter of Babylon. So when you hear about Babylon, you know, prophetically it's talking about the daughter of Babylon, which is the United States of America, or the U.S. of A. Okay, it says, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations that have drunken of her wine. What's that wine? They're really the image of the beast. You know what I'm saying? The ways, the democracy, the LGBTQ and McDonald's and capitalism. You know how they always downplaying communism and everybody else's way of life, and basically saying that they, you know, hell, I forgot the NBA guy or representative or owner said something about, I think it was China, you know, and he said something basically off of communism. And when it's like when Esau hears communism, they have a narrative of saying that these people are savages and uncivilized, and basically whatever negative thing or horrific thing happens to them, it was because of communism and they deserve it. You know what I'm saying? But then turn around and act like they're all for humanity when you'll sit there and laugh to scorn people's demise if anything happened. And things happen in Babylon pursuant to democracy at the same time. And they act like it's just something that you can work out. At the end of the day, you know, you're really not supposed to be minding how somebody else is running a business, you know, because America's image, the image of the beast, is not representative of the Holy Scriptures. And what I mean by that is basically they're not upholding the laws and statutes and commandments. So their rulership and their guidelines that they tell everybody else shouldn't even be dictated on anybody else, because their beliefs is that you should have the freedom to do what you want. So China should have the freedom to do have communism. Cuba should have the freedom. Great Britain should have the freedom of monarchy if you believe in freedom, you know what I'm saying, and expressing yourself. But no, America they want to spread their image and want to spread their ways of living and want everybody to follow their image. So with them doing that to these other nations, they have drunken of that cup, and they say, hey, you know what, let us try this out. They may have not, you know, Saudi Arabia may have not taken on democracy, but they've taken on to certain characteristics of Babylon. And you got, you know, women coming over here getting into fucking porn and shit. You got women coming over here from the Middle East dressing any kind of way. You got men over here coming over here and getting in their suits, and you know what I'm saying, they're changing their culture, changing their ways, becoming even as Gentiles, really, for the sake of a come up, just like in the book of Maccabees. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these people come over here and they send money back to the country. If not, they just cling on to the ways of Babylon, you know, and sometimes they'll boast about their country, but you hear, you know, because I see it all the time, you know. Verse 8 says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed, because she's not going to be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone to his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. Because this is a judgment coming from the Most High. This is not like a mess up, and oh, we can fix it if we redo this, and You know, the reason why the whole earth is in the condition it is today with the soil and the climate change and the wildfires, it's all due to Esau, man. These wildfires are happening because he's drying up, you know, the edge of California via through crops and the HARP system, you know what I'm saying? Via through the chemical waste that happened over in Japan, and that weather's coming over onto this side of the hemisphere. All this is a result from Esau, man. You know what I'm saying? And whoever took upon the ways of Esau, because his ways are as death, man. You know what I'm saying? And whoever follows his ways follow after death and do find it, man. You know. So we're gonna get one more precept because, of course, the brothers are you know, warming up the seat, man, for lack of better words. So in Revelations 18:1, it says, "And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils." And again, Babylon is the US of A, that make America great again. This very soil, okay, that's that place, okay. And that's why they're trying to shut down this place. Ironically, has free speech, but you're not able to go on a platform such as YouTube, where you're not directly attacking anyone with your beliefs or your free speech, and they're taking your lessons down and doing these things. Because at the end of the day, it's not the home of the free. It's you only free. Only thing you're free from in Babylon is free from following the law, statutes, and commandments of the Bible, or free from being a slave to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man. You know, because we should be prisoners of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. We should be enslaved and in bonds and chains of his ways, man. But not in Babylon. They let you free, and you can do what you want as long as you follow their rules, okay? And they paint it as freedom. It's not freedom. It's just freedom from everybody else's rulership. That's the whole reason why they came over here in the first place. And it's ironic that they came over here saying that they're going to separate the church from the government. But here it is, people such as us prophets are getting on YouTube and prophesying the downfall of Babylon via through so-called religion. You know what I'm saying? Because what we do is not a religion, it's our way of life, and it's the truth, and it's the prophecies of the Most High, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. So with that in mind, you got the government. How you going to create a law that strickens the ability to be religious? You know what I'm saying? And now here we are. You know, so that shows how much of a hypocrite that Babylon is, and the people, our own people, trust in this very system, and they're being hypocritical right in front of your face. And the only difference is why our people in the masses haven't grown wise to it is because it hasn't hit home. That hypocrisy hasn't hit them directly. You know, when they say, oh, we're going to do this and do that for the Negroes and give them this, and then they turn around and not do it, then Jake going to rise up and get all mad and shit. But if it's not hitting them and it's just hitting the economy, it's not hitting them directly, and it's just hitting the economy and they're showing themselves, then Jake is oblivious to it. It's just like you have a friend or so-called friend, somebody you hang out with, that's hanging around you, and they're talking about somebody else behind their back all the time. You know what I'm saying? And they're constantly talking behind their back in front of you, and you really don't pay attention to it until they do it to you, and you say, oh, he was fake. He was fake the whole time. You just because it didn't hit home, you just didn't notice it. So that's the same way with Babylon. Babylon's showing you, and when I say Babylon, I'm talking about Esau, because he's a ruler of Babylon. He's the whore that sitteth on the back of the beast. When they do these things to these other countries and other nations and long range laws that's not truly effective, you don't see it as a problem. Just like with the LGBT, you can't say this about them, you can't say that about it. Well, for you not being gay and you believe that these 2/3 believe that it's cool for them to exist and live, you don't feel like it's a problem. But they are constantly creating new laws strictening the so-called freedom of the citizens of the daughter of Babylon, man. Okay, because we're citizens of the daughter of Babylon too. Okay, and that it wasn't by choice. It's not an honorable thing to say, but it's the truth that we're citizens of the daughter of Babylon. We have social security cards. We have different forms of identification to prove so. Okay, so that's why I say that. You know, because niggas get all biased and say, I ain't no citizen of this place. You know, the scriptures say come out of her. Yeah, come out of her spiritually, but your ass still gotta get a fucking state ID and follow the, you know, render unto Caesar the things that are unto Caesar, man. You know, but let's get back to Babylon. Verse 2 in Revelation 18:2, it says, and I cried, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is becoming a habitation of devils. Those devils are talking about those desert creatures, because there was a prophecy in the Old Testament saying that you know, it would be the habitation of dragons, you know, fowls, you know, vultures, rattlesnakes, and things like that. Because this place that you see today, that you see right now, you look around, it's work, it's business. You know, you see, you know, construction right here going on. You see, you know, monuments. You see traffic. As you know, traffic is basically business. These people are commuting somewhere to either get money or to you know, do something that's towards Babylon, the benefit of Babylon. Whether you eating, whether you're using the electricity or whatever. Okay. So it says, and behold, it says, become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Yep, so that's that. It's talking about them hateful birds, you know, specifically that comes to mind, of course, is the vulture. Okay, it's a which is a desert bird. There's other ones, you know, I'm not too, you know, keen on all these animals. Or you know, I've seen a couple that also live in the desert, you know. So again, verse 3, it says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Because what is the fornication? It's to commit adultery. Now, what's the spiritual fornication? Commit adultery against the Most High. So these other nations have took on what I said earlier, that Babylon's, the image of the beast, namely the core of it is democracy, or, you know, the ways of the UN. You know what I'm saying? Because the beast itself is the NATO and the EU. You know what I'm saying? But then you got the image of the beast, which really goes back to democracy, or just that way of life and the laws and the things that they implement out into the world, and saying this is the do's and don'ts of the world. Okay? It says, for all the nations have drunken of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, you know, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through her, through the abundance of her delicacies. Because just like you got, I was talking about, I did a lesson on the avocado and the laws. Basically, I think it was Peru or one of the northern tribes. They went to Chicago and Babylon or America, and they learned some of the fornication. You know what I'm saying? Some trickery and witchcraft and sneakiness through laws, basically controlling the natural resources like water. And they went down back to their country, which I believe was Peru, and they basically said, hey, you're gonna be charged for using this water, and whoever pays the most money is going to, of course, gets first dibs and get the most water. And if you have enough money to pay for the water, then we'll channel some water down your way. So they learned the result of that. And then when that happened, now you got people dying. And then when you get people dying, then you start getting uproars of the people. And then now they're like, you know, fuck you guys should show this wickedness. And then they'll come in and say, hey, you need a different leader. They'll set up a puppet leader, and so on and so forth. You know, so people drinking that wine, and this is what happened. So you're fornicating because you're not obeying the laws of the Most High, man. You're always supposed to leave something for the poor, you know, for one. And you shouldn't be changing the natural course of water anyway. And you're supposed to plant and respect the land Sabbath. So the people grasped onto Esau, and now, as Jeremiah 51 says, they're mad. Okay, and the kings have done it because those people, those representatives, were representatives of the king or ruler of that country. Okay, and they do what? Again, they eat upon a delicacy. The main delicacy that they eat upon is the oil exports. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these countries, you know, I believe it's Argentina, when they're going through the famine, and you know what I'm saying. But even though they're rich in oil, America cut them off and they use those sanctions. But a lot of these people are rich through America's oil or having a trade through the oil. You know what I'm saying? America's become rich through the oil. They really became rich off the backs of the slaves, but through the Federal Reserve Act. Then it became they stopped backing the money by gold, and they started using mainly resources. And that main resource became oil. That's why a lot of these outside countries, such as Syria, you know, I would say Libya and Egypt, you know what I'm saying, John F. Kennedy, when they try to take the Federal Reserve and back it by gold and not back it by thin air, or you could say the stock market, or really mainly oil, then they assassinate him, you know, or they get rid of him and put up another leader. Okay, so the nations are waxing rich through these delicacies of America, because America, for one, on another end, is a consumer country. When these countries make all these products, Jordans, cell phones, America is the one that's mainly buying them. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. What I wanted to get. I don't want to dig too much into it, because at the end of the day, as Isaiah the 14th chapter says that the nations have grown strong against her. Basically, all the nations going to point their arrows against her. All the nations are tired of Babylon's bullshit, whether it was directly or an old situation such as Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Or it's just an economic problem or sanctions. The nations are tired of Babylon's shit, and all those nations are going to point their arrows at Babylon. So with that being said, I want to say, call halal to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakal Kadash Barakatah. Double honor to our apostles, who are elders, who rule well. Blessed salutations to you brothers out there teaching and doing truth sincerity. Hey, shalom.